Looking through the lot, now you know I'm coming through. When the growth look good on you, best believe they wanna screw now. I've been trying to climb, devil threw me in the dark. Baby, don't be insecure, you can still go make a mark like blow. Could never let them drain my soul now. Blow. Table turning like doorknobs, wow. Blow. I think I'm about to set sail. I'm a walking, living legend, walking with my chest out. Life keeps dealing me cards, I keep fitting in love.
What is going on, guys? It is G, and we are back in the building. Before we dive into today's preview, guys, as you can see, scrolled across the bottom, hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 150 subscribers. Just like to say thank you for everyone who has subscribed already. But today we are here for England versus USA, match day 2 in the World Cup, and it should be a tasty one. So let's dive into it, man. Obviously, you know, as I said, England versus USA. First game for England, very well. Went very well. I mean, no complaints, to be honest, for England. 6-2 victory. You know, great attacking display, showed all their attacking quality against the poor Iran side, I'd have to add. But at the end of the day, you beat what's in front of you. And from what we've seen from match day 1 so far, you know, Saudi Arabia beating Argentina, Germany losing out to Japan, you know, we're seeing a few, you know, shock kind of results. You know, Uruguay got a draw against South Korea. You know, so we're seeing certain results that are making everybody think, do you know what I mean? Like the only kind of convincing wins I think I could probably say that I've seen so far would be, you know, England, France, obviously beating Australia, Brazil last night against Serbia. That was a tough game for Brazil, and, you know, they were able to get the victory. But, you know, so far, England are the team who are banging in the goals. So heading into tonight's game against 7 p.m. UK time, they'll be in high spirits. They will definitely be in high spirits. And USA, you know, they're coming off the back of a 1-1 draw, late goal by Gareth Bale, penalty. You know how these penalties go in this tournament. And I think that they'll be coming into this game with a point to prove against England. Definitely, I think they're gonna go up a notch in terms of their intensity, in terms of their enthusiasm, and they're going to probably try and, I wouldn't even say stifle England, but I feel that they're going to even try potentially match England. We'll get into their formation and everything that they played against Wales, but I think this is going to be a different type of test for England tonight. You know, this is not going to be like Iran. You know, Iran, you know, have a good striker, but they just couldn't get the ball to him. England more or less had all the ball, and when Iran did have the ball, they just couldn't break out, you know, to be honest with you. So England will actually have a test tonight. So tonight for me is the game where I'm looking at and I'm thinking, all right, get through this test. Obviously, if they win this game, they qualify from the group as well. So they're definitely looking at this and then thinking, all right, now we can kind of sit back and relax in that third game, you know, rest a few players, keep everybody fresh, because, you know, there will be no need to have to go into that final game and actually win it, because they'll be through. And I think they'll be through. Yeah, they'll be through as group winners as well. So definitely this is a game where England are probably going to be looking at this and thinking, all right, let's try and you know, completely end this group, to be honest with you. So you know, let's wait and see. Obviously, if, you know, Wales beat Iran, then of course that last game, it will then be the group winner decider kind of thing. But England just need to win this game, to be honest with you. They just need to win this game. But as I said, USA, they've also got hopes and aspirations of also making it through this group as well. And they can see themselves potentially making it through. They're sitting on 1 point. Yes, they'll be a little bit disappointed from that draw against Wales. I felt that they deserved to win the game. I didn't think that Wales really deserved it, to be honest with you. They got a lucky break at the end. It was a penalty, but it was a bit of a lucky break because they weren't in the game at all, really, until maybe like 60 minutes, to be honest with you. It was all USA. So USA will be disappointed. So again, they're going to be coming into this with a point to prove. But obviously, let's look at the head-to-head of the two teams. As you can see, they played each other 5 times in their history kind of thing. There was obviously the World Cup in 2010 when they faced each other. England usually come out, on top of these. But USA have obviously got a win. They got that win in 1950, a 1-0 victory. Last time these two sides faced each other, it was a 3-0 victory for England back in 2018. In that World Cup, it was 1-1. Good side, I think they had. I'm pretty sure they had Clint Dempsey around that time as well. 2008, obviously they won 2-0, and then 2005 they won 2-1. So England are obviously going to head into this game as favourites. History is more or less on their side with 3 out of the last 5 victories against the USA. So, as I said, this is a different USA side. This isn't the same USA that we're probably, somewhat used to, in terms of, they've got a couple players, who might play in the Premier League and, the odd Landon Donovan kind of thing. No, this is a different type of team. This is a team with Tyler Adams in it, Aronson, Yunus Musa, Gio Reyna, Weston McKennie. They've got a decent these decent players in there, to be honest with you. A couple players in there that I wouldn't mind for Liverpool, to be fair. But it's going to be a tough test. It's going to definitely be a tough test for England. There was a few injury doubts, so to speak, obviously with Harry Kane and Harry Maguire. But from what I'm led to believe, England should be absolutely fine heading into this game. So let's look at the lineup. So obviously, England went with like a 4-3-3, to be honest with you. But 4-2-3-1 and 4-3-3, to me, they're both the same exact lineup, to be honest with you. But the difference, I guess you would say, is in a 4-2-3-1, you're gonna more than likely play with a number 10, but he's gonna, in defensive transitions, he will drop back into that midfield and partner 3. But in attacking phases, usually is a 4-2-3-1 with 4 attackers up there, and we kind of saw that, against Iran. With Sterling, getting obviously on the wings. They had Saka on the wings, obviously Kane up front, but Kane would then drop in sometimes, and then Mason Mount would be floating in and around. Or if it wasn't Mason Mount, it would be Jude Bellingham. Obviously, that's how he got his goal. He would be floating in and around where the attackers are. So they kind of did have like 4 in attack at times when they were attacking, but they kind of kept it as a base, and the base was always going to be the 2. So whoever that 2 would have been at the time, obviously 9 times out of 10 would be Rice and Bellingham. But again, it's what I'm hoping and what I think is that it's trying to be a bit fluid. So obviously, as I said, Mason Mount was obviously in that team that you can see here on the screen. But for me, I would play Phil Foden in a game like this against USA. I understand why he played Mason Mount, to be honest with you. I do understand, because, from that midfield 3, what he's probably looking for is energy and being able to get up and get down. So he's looking at Rice and Bellingham as his base, and then he's got Mason Mount. I wouldn't even say in a free role, but he's got Mason Mount kind of in that, all right, we need you to kind of be that kind of trigger. We need you to start the press potentially from the midfield, and then Rice and Bellingham can get into their, kind of positions and things like that. But I also feel that Phil Foden, he plays it with Manchester City. He's very good at that. Very, very good at that. He's got the pace. And he's got the nous to be able to do so. And I think that in attacking areas, I would prefer to have him over a Mason Mount instead. But again, like I said, I can understand if Gareth Southgate literally goes with the same team. Those are the kind of murmurs I'm hearing currently, that he is going to go with the same lineup. There was obviously, like I said, scares with Harry Kane and Harry Maguire, but both players look set to start tonight. Now, obviously, there was a lot of talk in regards to, Harry Kane. He didn't score. I think he got himself 2 assists, though. For me, to be honest with you, when you watch someone like Harry Kane, obviously brilliant striker, England's obviously best / only real, world-class talent, in this team, to be honest with you. And when I look at someone like Harry Kane, yes, he didn't score, but he was so vital to that attack. He allowed the likes of Sterling and Saka to be able to, more or less get their goals, because what he would do and what he does, give or take, all the time now, something that I think he's definitely Where it came from, I have no idea, because he was never a striker like this. He used to be, a striker in that kind of mold of kind of like a Shearer, just number 9, can get his head on the end of things, can finish from in or outside the box. And then, under Jose Mourinho, and this is where, this is why you've got these elite managers, and this is why some of the, the best players in the world love playing under these guys, is because they end up changing something in you. They turn you into something, and they've kind of probably turned Harry Kane into that, now, would I say, somewhat complete striker, so to speak, being able to, drop in deep. Before, I would have said he was kind of a boring, like a very good boring striker, a bit like a Shearer. Like I said, I've said it before on, I think it was on Jerry James' show. Make sure you guys obviously head over there to check him out. But when I looked at Harry Kane before, yeah, it was just boring. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's and it sounds weird to say. You know what I mean? It sounds very weird to say, like, oh, so he scores goals, so he's boring. Yeah, yeah. I mean, some strikers are just like that. Like I say, Shearer is one of those strikers. Very boring striker. He does everything basic, but he is very clinical. Very, very clinical. And that's what I felt Harry Kane was. He was very, very clinical, but just a boring striker. And I think playing under Jose Mourinho completely changed that, complete and utterly changed that. He's now dropping deep. He's now playing almost in that Rooney kind of position, where he wants to get on the ball a lot more. We see Harry Kane, in so many different areas of the pitch. I've seen him, covering back at left back, right back. So I've seen him in the midfield, 3, yeah, as one of the deepest ones as well. So this isn't a striker who wants to just stay up there anymore. He wants to get involved in play. And to be honest, with his technical ability, being able to pick out a pass and things like that, I don't really blame him. And I don't blame Gareth Southgate for saying, yeah, just go out there and do your thing, to be honest with you, because he can do that. He can do that. He can pick out a pass to Sterling or to Saka, or thread a ball into a Foden or a Mount, So this isn't a guy who you're going to be too worried. You saw where he was for Sterling's goal. That is literally a fantastic example. He was out there on the right putting the ball in. So you're sitting there and, Sterling getting in the box, and there was others who were, coming in anyway, but you're sitting there thinking, hold on, you're a striker, mate. Do you know what I mean? You're supposed to be the number 9. There's a reason why you're the number 9, and you're out there on the wing putting the ball in for, the likes of Sterling and, others. So having that fluidity, I think, is going to be good for England, because most of these players, if you look at that attack, even if you just look at the attack on the screen, so Sterling, Foden, Saka, if you look at those 3 alone, they all play in teams where the attack is, relatively fluid. Yes, they kind of stick to their position. So Saka's always on the right. I rarely will ever see him on that left-hand side unless he's starting over there, but he can float into the middle. Foden is the kind of key for me. That's why I would prefer to have him in there as opposed to Mount, because Foden is good on the right and the left. Plays on the left mostly for Manchester City, but he can also play through that middle, and having him running onto balls and things like that, I think it'll be pretty good. But I can see him going with Mason Mount instead, just for that kind of a bit more industry, would we say? The buzzword for midfields these days is that industry in the middle of the park. He's got Rice and Bellingham as his base, and I think those two will also be very, very key to any victory that England have tonight. Sorry. Both players played very well against Iran, but again, that was against Iran where you were able to pick up the ball, you were able to kind of dictate, what was kind of going on. Iran's midfield wasn't really in the game. They were quite passive. So someone like a Bellingham or Rice, if you let those two have too much time on the ball, and if you let them impose themselves too much, then of course, 100%, they're going to do that. But against a USA midfield, and, if we look here at the USA's lineup against Wales, you'll see here, Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, Yunus Musa, those 3 alone are going to cause you headache. And they've still got Aronson as well, Gio Reyna to potentially come off the bench if they're, losing the game, who's going to add like a different kind of option in the middle of the pitch and in attacking areas. That's a difficult, that's a midfield that is going to make you work. Hence the reason why I feel he's going to go with with Mason Mount as opposed to Phil Foden, because those 3, especially, and this is the player that I wanted to really look at was, Yunus Musa, because I think he's a fantastic player. I think what he provides is he is that box to box, kind of threat. Was currently once of Arsenal academy, decided to he decided he wanted to kind of further his career, and good on him as well, because now he's sitting here at a World Cup. If he stayed at Arsenal, would he be there? We never know. But he moved on to Valencia, where now he's become one of the established players in the team. And he's just really going from strength to strength. And I know that there's a few Premier League clubs and other clubs around Europe who are looking at him. But Yunus Musa is definitely a player who I feel that is going to be someone we're going to need to watch out for. Definitely going to be someone that we're going to need to watch out for. And that's why I've got the head-to-head between the two players, Declan Rice and Yunus Musa. Now, it just depends on the side that they play. So it could be Declan Rice, it could be Jude Bellingham, potentially. But those two as a pair actually would actually work pretty well in the same team, to be honest with you. I actually believe that if we had someone like a Yunus Musa playing for England, I think he'd probably be in the middle of the park alongside Jude Bellingham and Declan Rice, to be honest with you. I feel like him and Bellingham would be very, very good, as engines in that middle of the park, but both have the attacking prowess to be able to potentially nick you a goal and things like that, but still be able to, get back and help in, defense. But these two today going head to head at it's going to be brilliant. It's going to be brilliant. Can Declan Rice match, Yunus Musa's energy? Will he be able to track the runners? That's going to be very key tonight. Is he going to be able to track those runners? Is he going to be able to see the effect that Yunus Musa may potentially have? I feel if you can stop him in the middle, then it will go a long way into England potentially winning the midfield battle at the very least. And we all know, if once you win that midfield battle, you're more than likely to win the game, obviously, depending on what the attackers do. And then when I look here, Tyler Adams against either, depending on who he plays, Mason Mount or a Phil Foden. Now, Tyler Adams, as you saw in the USA lineup before, he played the deeper of the midfield three. Tyler Adams has been fantastic for Leeds this season. A player that I hadn't really seen too much, to be honest with you. He was playing, I believe, was it at RB Leipzig potentially last season? But he was a player who, wasn't on, would I say, many people's radars, so to speak. He was playing at RB Leipzig last season. He wasn't a player who was on many people's radar, so to speak. I don't think many people are looking to take a punt on him. But when you've got Jesse March in there, someone who's obviously an American manager, knows the American players, knows exactly what the American midfielders can bring to a team, he just looks like a brilliant sign. Along Aronson, who I think is a fantastic player, who I believe might actually start tonight, just because he might be a bit more used to the English midfielders as opposed to a Weston McKennie. I think that whoever, is in that England midfield, whether it be a Foden, whether it be Mason Mount, he's going to have to make sure that he's able to nullify them. But if we're able to kind of keep him quiet again alongside Yunus Musa, I feel that again it will go a long way to England winning this game. As I said, at least winning the midfield battle, and then obviously from there you take it from there, and then we can potentially see. But for me, I'm gonna go with a 2-1. I'm going to go with a 2-1 victory for England tonight. Yeah, I'm going to go over 2-1. I was just thinking about it again. I was going to say 3-1, but I guess that would just depend on if England can take their chances, and it also depends on who gets that first goal as well. If USA get that first goal, I think England will win 2-1. If England get that first goal, it could be a 3-1 kind of victory. I do see England winning if they keep things as they kept it in that first game. Like I said, I know it was Iran, but the principles that they had in that game, for me, were exactly what we have all been kind of screaming from an England side, especially under Gareth Southgate. We've seen how pragmatic he was, and I said that in my preview to the Iran game, was that we didn't want to see pragmatic football. We don't need to see pragmatic football. At the end of the day, you're only guaranteed to get 3 games in this tournament as it is. So why don't you go out there and show everybody what you can actually do, as opposed to worrying about everybody else. This isn't a group of this isn't a group where you've got France or a Spain or a Brazil in there when you're thinking, all right, bloody hell, this is going to be a really, really tough group. We've got to maybe just sit in tight and blah blah blah. You can save that for the knockout stages, if you need to. And obviously in Gareth Southgate's defense, that's probably a weapon and a tactic that he can obviously still fall back on anyway. So for him, I feel like this kind of game represents a chance for him to again go out there and do what you're good at, to be honest with you. If of course things start looking a little bit crazy and England are all over the gaff and USA are getting a complete joy in that middle of the park, then of course you can always then revert back to a 3 at the back and things like that. But I think to start off the game, going with that 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, however you want to kind of see it, I think it's probably England's best bet to gaining victory. And again, gaining that victory will qualify them out of this group, and then they go into that Wales game where then he can start experimenting. I mean, England should beat Wales, wouldn't their first or second team, to be honest with you, with no disrespect to Wales, but England are far superior to them. Yes, it's going to be a derby and things like that, but I still believe England should be able to go out there and do their stuff. So then players like your Trent Alexander-Arnold, he can come in. All the bench players, your Jack Grealish, Callum Wilson, who came off the bench to get an assist for Jack Grealish. Phil Foden, if he doesn't start tonight, he can then come in. You got your Connor Cody's. You can rest Harry Maguire for the last game, because he's going to be potentially carrying a little bit of a problem heading into this game tonight. So it gives England that opportunity, man. It gives England that opportunity to be able to kind of dictate who's able to play, who needs a rest, who needs to just be able to just relax. Heck, you can play Aaron Ramsdale, in goal. Like there isn't that urgency anymore, and it's a bit more of a relaxed game. So, and I think England need that heading into this game. And I think what we saw from England was almost like a club side, and I think that's never happened with England football team throughout the years. To be honest with you, all the golden generation and all the teams after that, you've never really seen that kind of cohesion that you saw from England against Iran. And again, like I said, without getting too excited, it was Iran, so of course it's not going to be the same kind of test, but at the same time, the principles from that game, you can still bring that into tonight's game. But there are going to be a few problems England will need to watch out for. Like I said, Tyler Adams in the middle of the park, Yunus Musa, they've still got Weston McKelly, Aronson, Gio Reyna, Pulisic, haven't even spoken about him too much. Timothy Weah, who got the goal against Wales, he's going to provide a threat down the sides. We know what Pulisic is kind of about, but will Pulisic playing on that, I think, left-hand side, so England's right-hand side, Trippier is going to need to make sure that he is on job, and whoever's Saka as well is going to need to be able to track him. Saka's got the pace to be able to keep up with him, but so he's going to need to watch out defensively. Timothy Weah, down Shaw's side, Shaw's going to need to make sure defensively he's switched on. Shaw's out of position. Timothy Weah is not a player that you want to be, leaving in space. He's got way too much pace, probably more faster than a Luke Shaw. And if Harry Maguire is playing on that side, that's going to cause a problem. To be honest, any side that Harry Maguire is kind of playing on, when it does come to pace, as good as a defender as he has been for England, pace is a problem for him. It's a real problem for him. So you're just going to need to watch that and make sure that England are just defensively switched on. They're just defensively switched on. But that's why with players like Jon Stones, who's a very good defender in my opinion, he's going to need to kind of, in my opinion, I feel like Jon Stones is the one who should be marshalling that defense. He's a good player to bring the ball out. So is Harry Maguire, to be fair, but he's also a player who tactically knows what he's doing. Anybody who plays in that Manchester City team tactically is going to know what they're doing, to be honest with you. So he's definitely going to be the one I'm looking at to kind of just, lead that back line. I know Harry Maguire, Manchester United captain, and so you would assume that he would be the leader, but nah, I think this is where Jon Stones, you take the lead on this one. You take the lead and you can kind of move Harry Maguire around as and when you see fit, and you can get the Luke Shaws and the Kieran Trippiers to kind of drop in, if needed. So look, that's my kind of prediction. I'm gonna go with a 2-1 for now, but we'll see how how the game kind of pans out. And I'm saying, yeah, England will top the group by the looks of it. If they do get this victory anyway, they in my opinion, they'll top the group and have no problems in that third game. But guys, that is my preview for England versus the US of A. I don't know why I keep saying the US of A. Make sure you're liking, make sure you're subscribing, make sure you're sharing this content out. As it says on the bottom of your screens, we are on the road to 150 subscribers. Last checked, it was on 106. So, if we can end the World Cup, that's my target. If we can end this World Cup on 150 subscribers, get back into that Premier League football, that would be absolutely fantastic. Make sure you guys are going obviously over to the Jerry James Show, hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, all the World Cup content, everyday reviews. Catch myself on there. I'll be back with my match analysis of England on that will be dropping. I'll be dropping that on. I'll try and drop it on the Saturday, but if not, it will be dropping definitely on the Sunday. So, guys, just make sure you're tuned in for that. And as I like to always say, I'm out, people. I'm out.